All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Tyler, and I'm with Tarver Academy, the YouTube channel you're watching right now. If you want to hit subscribe, it'll probably change your life. It'll be the best decision you've ever made because that way you can find these resources in the future. And so I'm actually streaming. I'm streaming live on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time. So look at us. Who would have thought? Not me. The purpose of this video is that I want to walk through the Google cheat sheet for teachers that I made that I think has been a helpful resource to a lot of teachers as they're trying to get back in the schools. And, they've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of products, a lot of things they're trying to manage at the same time. And it's all kind of being thrown at them. So I wanted to walk through these with them as we do this. So if you want, you can jump in, you can ask questions, you can throw out whatever you got. And I'm going to walk through this Google cheat sheet for teachers. Now, sorry, I just coughed. Now, there are a couple ways to get to it. If you wanted access to the cheat sheet, I've actually linked it in my Instagram bio, which is linked in like all of my bios. But if you go to my Instagram bio, you'll see the little link. It says tap.bio at Tyler Tarver. And this is where I kind of toss all of my resources. It just makes it an easy navigation for anybody who wants to get some of the free stuff I'm putting out there. So it's like the first one. See this first link, Google Cheat Sheet for Teachers? If you click that, it's going to take you to the website. Now, there's a reason, because when I first put this resource out there, it was just the Google Doc. And the reason I had to switch it to my website, because I didn't even create my website, I just made the Google Doc and I put all the resources on there. The reason I had to switch it over is because it ended up like gaining some momentum. And Google Docs, a lot of people don't know this, you can have up to 100 people editing them at the same time. And then they'll allow you around 1 to 200 people. They're not really specific on how many that can view a Google Doc at the same time before it starts like lagging out. Well, I had about 22,000 people jump in it in that first 24 hours. And so I had to readjust, and my website doesn't get bogged down as much. So I've put that link on my YouTube if you need it. It's tarveracademy.com/Google teacher. And from here, it just kind of helps filter out because you've got all the same links on the website as well. But I've got a link up here to the Google Doc. So I'm gonna kind of walk through different resources on here. And if you're on TikTok and you're watching, throw the comments and I'll try to stay on those. If you're on YouTube, you can throw the comments. Facebook, you can throw those comments on there and I'll see those in real time. Okay, so if you go to tarveracademy.com/Google teacher, you can also just go to tarveracademy.com and it's under Google Teacher Cheat Sheet. Okay, try to make it as many locations as possible. It's in my bio. It's everywhere you want. It's everywhere you want to be. So from the top, here we go. Start the song. Right up here, want the Google Doc, get it here. If you click this, it's going to take you to the Google Doc version of this. Now, this gets full sometimes, so it doesn't hurt if you're on like some of these other ways to view the Google Doc. But this is the one that I kind of first bumped out there. It's still available. It just, there gets to be a lot of people in it and it moves a little slower, which, I mean, it's fine. It's still just a Google Doc. It's working its little heart out. So right here, we've got all this navigation for you for all these different apps. Then down here, you scroll down, it's got YouTube, full trainings, and then I've got some resources to make your life easier, which I'm going to walk through all of those. Okay, so let's go back to the website because it's going to be easier for me to use more quickly because it moves a lot faster. Now, here's something that I did that I thought you guys might like. I actually set it up to where you can make a copy of the cheat sheet for yourself. So you could click on this. It'll ask you if you want to make a copy. You say, yeah, sure, make a copy. That now is your copy. I do not have access to this. It is 100% yours. You can edit it. You can change it. You can delete things out of it. This is a great starting point. If you wanted to say you wanted to make this resource for teachers at your school, make the copy of it, go in and edit out some stuff. You're like, you know what? Our teachers don't use, I don't know, Google Meet. Say we do. Okay, you could delete the whole column on Google Meet. You say your school blocks YouTube, which is a terrible idea, but you could go in and just delete all the YouTube stuff. You have the option to do whatever you want with that copy because it is your copy and now you can edit it. So that's another option for you as well. So you can go in and edit that out. Now, a lot of people, I've got a video on how to make a copy, and I think I actually put it in the cheat sheet. So also, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube, that's just a really nice thing you can do. It's completely free if you want to do that. I would not object to it. So let's start off on some of these resources and these tutorials and show you how to navigate this. So right here, right off the bat, this is a classroom etiquette video. This video walks through like the 7 or 8 things a student needs to do to be a successful student and help you run your class smoother throughout the school year. As we do Zoom, Google Meet, all these different ways of doing class, there are ways that it can be done that allows it to move and flow easily. And so this video right here is something you can assign to your students. What I recommend, give them the video, toss this in Google Classroom, and then ask them in the discussion, say, hey, what are some other etiquette things that he didn't mention? What are some reasons, as you're watching this, jot down notes, what are some reasons this is important for the flow of the classroom? Make them think about the why behind some of these rules. I explain that in the video, but it's also good for students to think of it from their perspective. This right here, phone and video tips, that is for you or your students as you're creating videos for your students. It's just got good advice on how you can film and create video with your phone and make it just a little bit better. Have you ever like watched somebody record a video on their phone and it looks like your grandpa when he first signed on to Facebook? And it's like weird angles, it's weird lighting. This walks you through just some quick tips because as you, as teachers and students are creating stuff throughout the year, it's just gonna be helpful for you. Okay, so let's look at some of these resources. Resources for you, getting to know you form. Your first day of school, whether it's already happened or it's about to happen, one of the first things you need to do is you need to get information about students, parent contact, parent email, their parents' phone numbers, any way that they need to get a hold of you. You can click this, it creates a copy for you. Now you can go in and edit it, you can change it, you can adjust it, whatever. I don't have access to this once you hit make a copy, okay? Once you make a copy, that is now your copy. You can do whatever you want with it. Now, a lot of people are asking this, how do I change? Like, because I have this banner set up, it's Tarver Academy banner, and you're like, I don't want that banner. That's great, but I don't want it. You just go up to this paintbrush in the upper right-hand corner, click on that, and you can actually X out that image and hit apply, and it'll take that off. See, it gone, it did. So you're good to go. Cool. So that's something you need to do the first day to get information from your students. What's up? Somebody said what's up in the chat. Okay, next, curriculum map template. Here's one of the important things that a lot of people are not doing that they need to be doing this year, and that is they need to be recording what they are doing throughout the year so that they can have that as a hub for all of the resources they're doing next year. Whenever I became director of curriculum instruction, first thing I did was I got rid of lesson plans because I didn't feel like they were being utilized. They were being used for compliance. Like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? But nobody's really checking them or putting a lot of effort into them. So I asked all my teachers to go in and at the end of the day, 3:15 to 3:30, I want you to just tell me what you did. What did you do that year? And so for 1 year, we're having to just tell what we did after the fact. Every year after that, we can use that one Google Doc as a planning hub for the rest of the year. And so I highly recommend you go in and make a copy of this and you record what you're doing. And the whole year can be recorded in this one Google Sheet. So I've got weeks 1 through 36 on the tabs, which is a full class year for most schools. And so you can go through and you can use that template. Okay, next thing on the Google Teacher Cheat Sheet. This one right here, this is a classroom discipline form. Most of your principals are hopefully doing a Google form for discipline. If they're not, they should be. If you're doing the yellow, pink, white piece of paper thing, that's outdated. You need to stop that. But you're not the principal, then you can't change that. But you should still have a classroom discipline form for your classes. This is great to have as a resource for you and for you as a teacher whenever you're reporting on student discipline. Say a student acts up every day for 3 weeks. When you send them to the principal, You can show what they've done every day for 3 weeks, not just what they did that made them get sent to the principal's office. It's a lot better context for a principal when they have a spreadsheet of all the discipline issues, verbal warnings, everything you've ever said or done. Also, parent interactions. It's good maybe at the end of each week or every couple weeks or once a month to copy paste and email some discipline issues to some of the parents. They like to stay up to date, and it'll help them kind of correct at home. Plus, they're not kind of like surprised at parent teacher conference when they're like, why didn't you call me? My kid's been acting up for 6 months and they failed the class. This way you can say, well, I've been emailing you their discipline issues once a week. So if you click that, you'll be able to make a copy of that discipline form and edit it to make it what you want. Every time it asks to make a copy after you click on something, it's making that for you. I do not have access to that. It is now yours. Okay. This is a good back to school activity about our class Google slide. You make a copy of that. And what I did was I went in and made a Google slide. Somebody on TikTok subscribed on YouTube. Thank you so much. Linda, you're the GOAT, Linda. I think you're amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so whenever you go in and do this, it should be 2 slides. Where's my other slide? Did somebody delete it? Or is it just loading up? I think it's just loading up. So whenever you go in for the first day, you make a copy of this, and then you have your class all jump in to this same slide. So you would take this slideshow, you would put it into Google Classroom, and you would give editing access to all of your students. So that means every student can help edit this one Google slide presentation. Where is, there it is. Okay, I was like, something's wrong. So I gave instructions on here, so you don't even have to give instructions. I've already put them in here. So when you make a copy, this will be here. It has instructions. Let your students kind of sit with this for a while. Don't walk them through every step of this. Let them go in, play with it, figure it out, try to put photos in. Let them do this. I've actually put links to how-tos on each of the things we ask them to do. So that way, if they get stuck, to say, what's the tutorial video? It gets them in the habit of not asking you first for everything that they need to do. Because especially if you're doing remote learning or some sort of blended model, you're going to need them to learn how to find this stuff on their own and watch these tutorials when they get stuck so that it's not all reliant upon you. If not, you're going to get 4 billion emails every single day. So check that out. Make a copy. That's a good first week or 2 of school activity. Okay. So let's go through the next resource. Next one, differentiated lesson form template. This right here is a template I made for a lesson, a Google form that it's really cool how this works. In a Google form, most of the time we just make 1 page. It's like you answer 10 questions and you hit submit. You can actually make different pages, which are called sections. So like they can fill out information about themselves in the first page, who you are, email, all that. Then they hit next, it goes to another page and it explains something. You can have a video in there explaining it. Here it is, I put teaching on it. And then you can ask a question. From here, you can actually have them, if they get it correct, they can go to the next section. If they get it wrong, it can take them to a new page and then redirect them back up to the next question. So it's like you can differentiate based on if students are getting questions right or wrong. So if you want a copy of that, that's in there. And I've got a walkthrough I do of this as well linked in there. If you want it, it's yours. Next, we've got an example adaptive review form. So this is, I was really proud of this. No, low key, like, do you ever like make a resource and you're like, wow, it feels like I figured something out that I hadn't seen before. This one is one that it's a way to do math, but you can do any subject with it. One of the problems with whenever students are doing math at home or online is whenever you, or even in person, when you give them an assignment and they have, you give them the assignment and they go home to work it, they, like, you've worked example problems in class, but maybe they hit a problem or an issue that they haven't faced in class, or it's a variation and they're not bridging the gap. They're not linking the 2 things that you did, and they're stuck and they get frustrated. Well, one of the things that I was like, well, why don't I make a form where the original question actually, hey, Lori, I see you in the chat. How you been? It's good to see you again. So she used to do our morning talks that we did on YouTube. So it's good to see you, Lori. So whenever I was making the form, I would actually pull the question directly from a YouTube video that had the exact same question. So I was actually getting my question directly from the video. So if you'll look at this form, that looks like a screenshot of a dry erase board. You know why? Because it is a screenshot of a dry erase board. I went to a video of me working, combining like terms. I screenshot the dry erase board before I started working the problem. And then I put that as my actual question. So when students are taking this quiz or this review, if they get it right, boom, they move on to the next question. If they get it wrong, they are redirected to a video of me teaching that exact same question. So you don't have to worry about students like having to bridge the gap between like some YouTube teacher and what the actual question was. And so it's a chance for you to go in and a chance for you to go in and actually make like the feedback part the exact question that the students missed. And so I've got an example one in here if you want to make a copy and make a template of that for yourself. You know, change it up, make it whatever you want. Or if you're teaching multi-step equations, well, there you go, you're done. It's for you. Next one, quote of the day, bell ringers. This one I've talked about a couple times because I feel like in person and online, we could be doing bell ringers so much better. A bell ringer, if you don't know, is whenever you are like starting class, like the bell rings to start class, you usually have a problem written on the board or you've assigned them something to do, like write in your notebook for 5 minutes. Here, what I did was I was like, well, because what teachers need to do in that 2 to 5 minutes is they need to take roll, they need to email the secretary, they're trying to figure out who hasn't shown up for class. If a student missed the day before, they're handing out papers to them. With this, I thought, well, why don't they have a, so this is, thank you, Lori. Lori's on here talking about checking it out during her work period. That's what's up. So quote of the day, bell ringers. Whenever you go here, when you click on that link, it actually goes to where I have an example. Like you could just copy paste this into Google Classroom as the assignment. And then you just get a link. And each day for 180 days, you can post this video as a bell ringer to get the conversation started in your class. What I'd recommend is just toss it in Google Classroom and then let the students have the discussion in the actual discussion of your Google Classroom. And then they could copy paste whatever they wrote, the input they gave, copy paste it, and then send it as their assignment. Now, the reason I recommend doing this as actual classwork is for a couple reasons. One, it holds the students more accountable. So they're going to do the actual work because they're being held, you know, there are points attached to it. So it means something. And the other thing you can do, especially if you're all virtual, is you can have bell ringers set up. Say you have it scheduled to go live at 9 a.m. because you want students to get started on the day at 9 in the morning. You can have it go live at 9 a.m. and you can have it end at 9:15 a.m. So it only gives you a 15-minute window to check in. It's almost like taking roll without having to say, all right, well, who's here? Raise your hands. No, they're going in and they're getting started and they're actually doing work in the bell ringer, and you've only given them a 15-minute window to do it. Now, can they still do it afterwards? Yeah, it's a late assignment, and you can choose to give them partial points or no points. You know, say a student does it late, but they're like, I was absent because I was getting my brother and sister ready for the day. And you're like, hey, you know what? That's reasonable. You can still give them the points. I don't like the hard cutoff because every situation is different. But if you want, I've actually got a full video on how to do this, on how to do like a virtual bell ringer. So you would just copy paste this in there. Then I'm going to give you a little user hack. You can actually, after you make one bell ringer, you can just go in, hit reuse post, and then you can just change like the title, change the video, and then post it again. You could schedule out bell ringers to go live virtually in like 10 minutes for the next week. In 10 minutes on a Friday afternoon, you could schedule 5 bell ringers for the next week to go live at 9 a.m., close at 9:15 a.m., and have all the stuff in there. So I've got another video on that, but that resource is linked in the teacher cheat sheet. I've also, if you're a math teacher, I've got the same exact thing, but it's focused on math teacher problem of the days. So if you want those, you can have them. They are right here. You can go in and it's got the same thing with math problems. So if you need a math bell ringers, I got you, fam. Washington, D.C., this is just if you want to do anything on Washington, D.C. I've got a playlist of videos where I was riding a scooter around Washington, D.C. And you get the chance to go in and watch me talk about fun facts about the White House or Lincoln Memorial or U.S. Capitol. You'll get the chance to see those videos. If you want them, cool. If not, not a big deal. Also in the cheat sheet, I've got the link to all these Google how-tos. So 300 plus Google tutorials. Honestly, these are for you or your students. So anytime a teacher or a student has a problem with anything, Google Classroom, Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, whatever, it's all in here. So you can just tell them, you can link this as a material in your Google Classroom, and then just tell students to go here before they ask you. Because students are gonna be like, how do I submit an assignment? How do I do this? How do I do that? Blah, blah, blah. This is a good chance for you to go in and do that. Google Skills Checklist. If you click here, if you want to be a Google level 1 educator, that's cool. What you can do is you can go in, and there's a checklist that a fellow Google trainer, Eric Kurtz, made. He made a checklist of all the skills you need to be a Google level 1 educator. Well, I took his checklist and I made a tutorial video for every single thing you need to know. So you can use this checklist for yourself to go in and learn how to be, make sure that you have all the skills that you need to be a Google certified educator level 1. So there's a lot of more Google videos for you in there if you want them. Oh, awesome. Thank you for saying that you're going to share this with your teachers. Somebody said that in the comments. That is cool with me. Okay, sweet. Next one, stop doing, let's see, no, not there. Why students stop watching. This is a quick video on why students stop watching educational videos online. So you're making a lot of videos. I'm sure you're finding and making a lot of videos online and sending them to students. I am doing my dissertation on how to keep students' attention in online educational videos. And so if you want, I broke down the top 2 reasons students stop watching videos. And I'll tell you right now, number 1, they're confused, or number 2, they don't see how it applies to them. So in everything you do, you need to be super clear. You need to repeat why it's important and how it applies to them. Okay, don't let them be confused. So if I was modeling that for you, I would say, hey guys, if you're just now jumping in, we're working through a Google teacher cheat sheet that I made to help teachers as they start the school year and as they pursue education throughout the school year. Teacher book recommendations. Here's a video on some teacher books I read last year that I think are really good. And it's just a quick video on what I recommend. And I've actually got links to them underneath it. One that I don't think I added on here is Atomic Habits. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, it's very good and very, it's a good way to structure and organize things you want to get accomplished throughout the year. There's a post I did about lesson plans, and it kind of walks through that curriculum map that we talked about before. This is my YouTube channel, which if you're on it, you hit that red subscribe button. That would be cool. If you're on TikTok, if you want to check that out, holla at your boy. That would be cool. That's a good way to find these resources later if you want. So my YouTube channel, Tarver Academy. Here's a video I made on educators are awesome, because I think educators are awesome. And this is just a fun video that I did with my student, one of my students, Ricardo, where we talked about some slang terms students use and what they really mean. He helped me out. It was good. Full trainings. Here are some videos done throughout the summer where I was helping people on some education stuff. And so right here, this is asynchronous versus synchronous versus blended, different ways to do video in your classroom, different stuff we did at the Baller Teacher Conference that we hosted. We've got some classroom walkthroughs, Google Classroom walkthroughs, calendar, docs, drive, sheets, forms, all these things. If you want like a deep dive walkthrough into anything, like say you're like, you know what, I know Google Forms are important, I need to start using them, boom, you can click this link and it will go to a Google Forms walkthrough where I spend like 45 minutes to an hour just from start to finish, starting from scratch, Google Form, walking you through that. So if you want, there are all of those resources. These are just longer videos to give you a deep dive in anything that you're really, really wanting to use. Then over here to the right, we have resources for students. Classroom video etiquette. This is the thing that's also linked up here near the top that shows, sorry, my computer's loading slow because I'm running this thing on the internet live. This top one is this classroom video etiquette video, That's that video. Tips for filming on your phone. That's this video. Digital citizenship lesson plan. This is something really cool that I made. I think it's cool. I went through and used some of Google's actual, like Google has a course on digital citizenship. I used that as a resource, and I built out essentially a lesson plan with video on how to be a good human on the internet. What is digital citizenship? The 4 C's of 21st century learning, how to create good passwords, how to stay safe on the internet. So I've made a lesson plan in here, and I tried to apply everything to like personal application questions, discussion questions. I tried to make it to where it's something you could copy paste into a Google Classroom, and then actually made a Google Classroom. So if you want an example of what I did with it, or if you want to actually take the class, you could sign in with your Gmail account, go to Google Classroom and put in this code right here if you want to use that. So that is another free resource for you. So next, this one is Classroom for Students. So I did a walkthrough of Google Classroom. So if you want to assign this as a homework assignment, you could give them this video, and it's me walking through for students from a student perspective what they would do in Google Classroom. Here's a quick video on how to log into Classroom, how to submit assignments. These are all like quick videos on things that they need to know how to do. Okay. Now, before we move on, I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually made a Google student cheat sheet just like this, but all the stuff that students need to know. So if you want your students to go through it here or use this, you could copy the link to this website and put it as a material in Google Classroom. Anytime a student emails you asking for how to do something, how do I submit this assignment, or they're trying to email you their assignment, whatever they're trying to do, you can just send them the link to this and say, hey, look and see if there's a resource on here first. So here is a bunch of walkthroughs, tutorials, all this. Send students here first. It's going to filter out a lot of those questions you're going to get a ton of times. So if you want that, it's tarveracademy.com/Google student. Okay, sweet. All right, after that, under YouTube, I've got some resources, YouTube and Education PD. This is a full video I did on how to use Google and EDU. This is a YouTube lesson plan. So like that digital citizenship lesson plan, you can go click on this and you can get a lesson plan for YouTube. So if you want to go through this with your students or your teachers or yourself, you could go through and learn about YouTube, history of YouTube, how to use YouTube, why it's important, how to be safe, things like that. What's the channel, all that. So it's a good little lesson plan you can use to go live or to use YouTube as an educator or a student. Why students stop watching videos, we talked about that. Storytelling 101, full YouTube walkthrough. Those are resources, and these are how-tos, how to do a premiere, how to do a playlist. These are different things these are teacher specific. So like collaborative playlists, that's where you can add a playlist to your class and they can actually put the resources in there. Starting a premiere, premieres are great for pre-recording your video and then posting it to YouTube and allowing students to chat and walk through it. All these are things that are teacher specific tutorials. I've got a lot more YouTube tutorials, but these are the ones I feel like teachers really need to know. Here are some YouTube channel recommendations: tech help, English, math, science, history, primary stuff. Most of these people I've actually met in real life, which is kind of cool. So you can check them out. And then this is the one, this part is the one you're going to use a lot, I would think, because anytime you hit a snag in Google Meet, Sheets, Forms, Docs, Slides, Classroom, you can click here or go here, and it's got a lot of those just organized for you. Okay. So that's the gist of it, guys. That's the Google cheat sheet for teachers. If you want the Google Doc, you can click here. If you want to make a copy of the doc, you can do this. Remember, I've got a Google student cheat sheet right here. You can go click on that if you want and use it as a resource as well for your students. And that way you can just give them the link to this and not have to show them everything Google on the first week of school. Hope this was helpful. I hope this added you value. If you would, please subscribe. That would be dope. That would be number one. If I'm asking anything, please subscribe. That'd be cool. Also, sometimes I get opinions from teachers before I make a resource, before I send it out. This the Google cheat sheet for students, I actually sent this out to these people on this text thread first to see if they had any thoughts or ideas. So if you text teacher to that phone number, 501-214-4071, it's completely free. It's a way for me to send you free resources as I make them. So I made something on doing templates, on how to make email templates for teachers. And I was able to send that out to those teachers directly. It's a way not to miss resources, because even if you subscribe or you follow on social media, you can miss free resources. This is a way for you to not miss those, because the important stuff, and I don't blast those like once a week. I'm like, hey, I made this. Do you want it? And they can have it. Also, you can reply, and I see that text directly. So whenever I see it, I answer it. People are asking questions. How do I do this? Where would I use this? What was that one thing you talked about? And I can send them the links directly. So if you want to sign up for that, just text teacher to that number. That's really cool. And then, oh, sorry, TikTok, my apologies. Text teacher to that number if you want. And then as always, if you want to actually support, that's cool. You don't have to. All these resources are free. But if you want to go to patreon.com/Tyler Tarver, it's a way you can actually support me because, everything I'm putting out there costs money to put it on the websites. So whatever you want to do, no pressure. Listen to your heart when it's calling to you. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't sing, believe it or not. I'm not a professional singer. So y'all be good, stay sweet, and never stop learning.